Continuing on the Shovelhead project, I'm going to install the exhaust. I've got a picture in my head of what I want it to look like, and now's the time to actually put this thing together and get a good look at it. I'm pretty confident in the parts that I'm going to use and the look, and that it will fit together nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually grab the head pipe and start installing this onto the bike, just to kind of get a look at it and see how I feel about it. I think it's going to be what I want. We'll see soon, right? So I've chosen to go with the classic 2-into-1 pipe. I should have the right covers for this exhaust. I've got a bucket of these things at the shop at the house, and I need to go through them. So I'll probably bring them here one of these days and take a look and see if I can find the right shrouds. Anyway, in order to put these on, or this on, you have to move the brake pedal out of the way, fish the front part in first, and then set it down, and it's essentially where it's going to sit. Now, with this being in the proper-ish location, I'm actually going to install the gaskets. One of the things I was taught to use was this ultra copper gasket maker. This is heat resistant, and I've seen it on a lot of old shovel heads. I know a lot of guys use it. That's how I was taught, so I'm going to keep using it unless there's something better out there. And if there is, of course, let me know. I'm just going to start by putting a little bit around each one of the exhaust flanges before putting on the gasket. Now we'll go ahead and stick the exhaust gasket over the flange there and squish that down. I'll go ahead and do the front as well. The same thing, I'll then put on the gasket. Now I know the gaskets will crush themselves, and they do actually have a copper seal on these, but I'm going to add a little bit more of this copper gasket maker just around the edge on the inside of the gasket itself, just to help it to seat a little bit better. Again, I don't know if this is the right way, but this is the way that I learned it a long time ago. This is something that I've done a few times and I've had pretty good luck with, so I'm going to do it on this bike too. Now with the gasket seal in place, I'm going to go ahead and work the pipe into the heads. This is where it gets a little bit challenging. Two-piece pipes are obviously always easier because there's two of them. You're not having to fight all the parts of the bike to get it in place. Got the front in, so I'm going to go ahead and push down on the rear. Slowly guide it into the cylinder head, and I've got that in place. Now I'll take my hardware, and I'll go ahead and start threading the hardware in. Of course, there's not a straight shot to get right to it. I'm going to put my articulating bit in place, or I guess whatever that's called. Now that I have the front and rear snugged up enough for the copper gasket maker to set up, I'm going to go ahead and put on the rear exhaust pipe. This is the exhaust I landed on. I've got a few of these and I really like the look of it, and I feel like this is going to be a good look for this bike. I do have an exhaust bracket that I think will fit with this, and I hope it's the right one. For now, I'm just going to slide this on to get a look at it. I'm going to hold it in place. And I think if I can get that on far enough, this is the look I'm going for. From here, we're moving to the back exhaust bracket. I do have what I think is the proper bracket for this application. So I'm going to go ahead and put the studs in place. Just gonna put these nuts on the back side just to kind of hold everything together. I'm not gonna snug anything up just yet. With those in place and the bracket hanging out here, I'm actually gonna slide my exhaust on now. Unfortunately, I have the wrong bracket. I was really hoping that that was the correct one, but that is not. I do need it to drop down a little bit and go backwards. So I'll have to find a new bracket. Once I find a new bracket, I'll be able to mount this up all the way. So we'll have to go back to digging. All right, new day in the shop. Ran out of time yesterday. Didn't get the chance to get the exhaust bracket mounted up. Had to go searching for the right one. Had to run to my barn and figure out what I had out there. I've got a couple of packing totes full of exhaust brackets. Got packing totes full of exhaust shields. I got parts all over the place. But I was able to find the correct bracket itself. So the bracket actually looks like this. So it mounts like this and drops down. And there's a frame horn section here on the back, on the bottom. And I'm sure you probably can't see that on the camera. It's actually two holes right here. It's on both sides of the bike, honestly. I believe they put these on from, I don't even know, honestly, from 58 when they started the swing arm frame on up. I think that's what the casting code says, is 58. Actually, that one says 73, so I'm not sure. But I know they do the same on both sides for dual exhaust. And this is the bracket that I landed on. This actually fits in real nice into these two holes. It drops down far enough and it will support my muffler. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing put in place here. Got a couple of bolts, a couple of nylock nuts. That's commonly what you find on these. Now I'm sure this isn't exactly the right bracket for this application. I do believe there's a little shorter one. These have these two holes in them, and these are actually for the exhaust clamps themselves. And I don't think that this is the right one for this, but it will work. So with the bracket in place, I'm going to go ahead and grab the muffler and I'm going to slide it onto the head pipe. I have my exhaust clamp already in place, already on the head pipe, so now I'm just going to slide this forward. Now that I've got the exhaust where I want it, I did have to make sure that it was in line with everything. It's a fishtail exhaust, so you don't want the fishtail, the top of it, left or right. So I've got it centered with the bike. It looks really good. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip the exhaust clamp over into place. One of the things I forgot to mention was you need to make sure to tighten up your exhaust bracket, this exhaust mount here, before you can go ahead and tighten up the exhaust collar. Once you tighten up the exhaust collar, it's kind of right in the way of this bracket here. So I did go ahead and tighten that up. Now I'll go ahead and tighten up the exhaust collar itself. That way this muffler is all one piece, and then we'll work on getting the proper hardware for this other collar here, and we'll get that mounted in place, and then this exhaust should be buttoned up. With the exhaust straps in place, the rear mount in place, and the head pipes bolted into the heads, I finally have a complete exhaust on this bike. Now I know I still need some covers, or I need to clean this stuff up and make it look a little better, because I don't really love the look of that, but I like that muffler on this bike. I think that looks super cool. I really feel like that makes this bike exactly what I want it to look like. And I hope you guys like it too. I know it's changed quite a bit. Came from the ugly duckling to this hot rod looking Harley. Well friends, that's it for the exhaust install. Hopefully you guys followed along and enjoyed the content. I know it was kind of a tough battle with this thing and was kind of all over the place. I know it took me 2 days to get it done, unfortunately, but sometimes that's how days go. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. As always, I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you next time.